Good evening, Stalkers, and welcome once again to the Grymm Mansion. I am your hateful host, Weird Aldrich, and I am joined by my despised friend once again.
Abomination. Thank you, Eldritch.
Well, we thought we had something for you tonight, Stalkers. But during the process of watching this movie,
Oh no.
me and Abomination ran into some issues. And this will be a little different tonight.
We've been postponing this, and we can't run from this forever, so here we are tonight.
I would argue that it can't run forever.
It's time to put the creature from Skinamarink to rest. The candles have been lit, the circles have been closed, and the words of power have been recited. Let us begin tonight's gathering. And oh boy, we have a lot to say about this movie, don't we?
Actually,
Not much.
Actually, no.
Well, we have a lot of strong opinions. Let's say it like that, I guess.
Yeah. This is going to be something that, if it was 200 years ago, we'd be probably hanged for.
Us here at the Grymm Mansion, we are not afraid to speak our minds and to go against the flow, go against the sheep. And yeah, you're probably going to disagree with what we're going to say here tonight. Some of you may not.
And our opinion is obviously much, much more important than any of you.
Of course, yeah.
We've been doing this for so many years, and it's we've seen so much good, bad, and horrendous. And I think we need a new category for what we just watched.
They keep inventing new horrors, don't they?
Right, and I argue that instead of our usual review, because I mean, I think the story of this movie can be told in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna try to stick to our usual program, but you're gonna see really quickly how things are gonna just start falling apart. We can try to like summarize the plot of the movie, but yeah. As you said, it's like in 10. We can do that in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or less than that.
All right. Let's then perhaps give some context to the whole thing, or do you want to leave that for the end?
No. Let's just say. So this was a movie that was created by a guy called Kyle Ball. He's a YouTuber, right? Where he has like a.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel. So there's this whole.
Rolf! Sorry, go on.
There's this whole genre that I think we might have watched a couple of movies and shorts and stuff. Mostly on YouTube. There's this genre of horror which is called analog horror.
In paper, amazing.
Yes,
just the name alone.
We'll talk about it a little bit more, but basically this Kyle Wall, from what I can tell, he likes to do analog or try to do analog horror stuff like that. He kind of does like compilations of fears or nightmares that people have had, like his viewers have had, something like that. I don't know exactly that because I don't follow him, but it's something along the lines of that.
Again, sounds great.
Yes, like so far so good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then he decided to make Skinamarink. And mixed reviews. It's a proof of concept, I guess. Or there was a short film he made, which was Heck, which was a proof of concept of this movie, and then he decided to make this movie. And it's an experimental supernatural horror film, quote unquote.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Just before you continue. How long is that short?
About 30 minutes.
Okay, let's keep that in mind. Continue.
Okay, so let's go on to try to do some summary, which is going to be hilarious, considering how, you know, you'll see. So basically, first of all, the reason why they call this an experimental film is because...
Oh, I can understand it. Let me explain.
Yeah.
I'll put it into words as best as I can. The movie is shot from the point of view of two children. And it is essentially a collage of stills. The camera is pretty much... Does the movie have any camera movement?
I don't think so,
Yes,
actually.
yes, it does. Yes,
Oh, it
it
might
does.
have.
On one, I think it's the first jump scare, the one where the doll is floating. Remember?
Yes, there is. Yes, there
Yes,
are.
I think it's the
There is
only
camera movement when it's basically from the perspective of one of the
when
children.
it's literally from the perspective.
First person, basically.
Yeah, but most of the movie is shot with a still camera pointing upwards. So as trying to imitate the way a child would experience the world. And this is something that is great. Let me just go ahead and be the first to admit that this is great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yes, the cinematography of the movie is incredible. It was a great idea. It did make me feel like a small child in the 18th century again, running through those empty halls, and I can't complain there.
Yeah, he made me feel like a small Victorian child. But that's kind of the only thing going for this movie is the cinematography. Because I'm going to try and summarize the plot, and the plot basically, very basically, and I'm really just trying to stretch. Two children, Kevin and Kaylee, they wake up in the middle of the night in their home. They go to do something, and Kevin falls down the stairs. His dad takes him to the hospital. Kaylee says he was sleepwalking.
Clearly a lie. They were sneaking out. They made sure that the dad was asleep and went playing.
Yes. And then a couple of scenes happen. And they wake up
Dad
again.
comes back.
Yes.
He brings the child home, calls mom,
yes.
says he's had an accident. They do the whole thing again. I mean, Kaylee while dad was away, Kaylee was awake and watching TV. Setting up that parents are split up.
Yes.
That the kids like to wake up in the middle of the night and watch stuff.
Yeah, there's some attempts at storytelling. But then the movie descends into chaos at this point. And not in
Madness
the
would have
good
been
kind.
better.
Yes, but not the good kind.
Madness would have been better. This is just
Madness would have been much better. This is just yeah, it's
speechless.
Yeah, I can't even explain.
When was the last time a movie has left you speechless?
Well, I don't remember.
But getting back on track.
Yes. So basically, from this point on, the movie starts. Weird things start happening. Doors start appearing and disappearing, and then the kids wake up and their parents are not home. Kind of. Yes, that is not but it's the movie doesn't explain that part very well. The doors and the windows of the house have seemingly disappeared. And the next, I think, like hour of the movie is just them wandering around the house,
Finding stuff like the toilet, even the toilet pops in and out of existence.
yes, like things are starting to disappear and like things are, objects are starting to teleport and stuff like that. And then Kaylee goes, oh yeah, because there's this voice that starts calling them.
And
It's
it
really
sounds
creepy.
like dad or sounds like mom, but
But yeah, but
not
not quite.
really.
Not quite. Yes, and Kaylee goes up to the parents and sees dad motionless sitting on the bed, and dad asks her to look under the bed, and she sees nothing, and then dad's not there, and now mom's there, also motionless. It's, yeah, it's stuff like that. And then she disappears, and Kevin
So
doesn't
she
know where
walks
she
into the
is.
closet and she says that something's there. We hear like a neck snapping. Uh,
Yeah,
and there's a hand popping out of the darkness. I could barely see this. I could barely see this, the hand.
yeah. I actually didn't even notice. So,
Yeah, but there is a hand. That's why the movie cuts out and it's a jump scare. But again, you
oh, and
just
that
hear the
was a
bone
jump scare.
snap.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
jumps. Oh, also, we need to mention this. The entire movie is basically has no audio, like no music, nothing. At
It
least,
does in the beginning during the opening credits, but that's it.
but that's it. That's it. And it's not like the music. Okay, the all the audio in this movie is like the source of the audio is something physically in the movie. So like them breathing, them talking, them walking around, the TV, like MTV always on, and that's it. That's the only audio you hear.
There's something interesting that I want to mention that they are sometimes watching cartoons.
Yes.
And the
And the cartoons,
cartoons are always they always have something related to the scene. That's also very intelligent.
but do they? Because
They
it
do.
feels like
They
they
do.
do, but at the same time, it's like I don't really understand what the connection is.
We would have to go scene by scene,
Yeah, we'd
but
have to like really analyze it. But yes, no, that is an interesting thing that they did with the TV. Yes, once again, cinematography is really nice. So yeah, so then Kaylee basically disappears after that scene, and then Kevin goes look for her in the basement, finds her in the basement with no eyes and no mouth or something like that.
yeah, because
And
she essentially, I think that this thing that was calling her, let her go. They tried to build the like something to block it off for coming into the living room, and essentially this thing didn't want to be with the creature, so it killed it as like a show of power. Like
yeah, that didn't make sense. The motivations of
you
this,
don't wanna be with me. I'll kill you.
well, yeah,
Killing children.
we'll get there. Yes. So yeah, the creature kills Kaylee, and then wants to play with Kevin. Kevin obviously doesn't want that. So the
Yeah,
creature
Kevin is like
asks,
ignoring because I know what you did to my sister.
yeah, and then the creature asks Kevin to basically gouge out one of his eyes with a knife,
With a pocket knife, yeah, or something like
pocket
that.
knife.
Like
Yeah.
again,
And then Kevin calls 911 and then hangs up or something. It's
he doesn't. No, wait. What was it? He calls 911. Yeah,
and then
and
they have
he
like a
has
short
to speak in.
conversation.
Yeah, he has to speak in whispers because he knows that the creature is listening. The operator asks him,
Mhm.
Why are you speaking like that? Why are you talking like that? Why are you
Is someone
whispering?"
with you? Yeah.
And then he drops
He,
the phone because he hears the creature that like right next to him, and the thing turns the phone into a chatter
no, yeah,
telephone, one of those toy
that's
kids,
yeah, yeah,
one of those kid toys. Shit.
yeah. After that, it's just the creature tormenting Kevin for the rest of the movie. I think there's nothing else that happens.
Yeah, for like over a year apparently.
Yeah, no, more than that. Yeah, more.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
over a year is what I said.
572 days. Yeah,
Oh no, I
the
don't
creature
remember.
starts like just showing off what what it can do, and like house.
Yeah,
Is
because
in a
apparently
different
can do anything.
Yeah, and like no, like when Kevin asks, like, wait, I have the transcription here.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
you were writing every piece of dialogue in this movie.
yeah, and honestly, I have like writing the basically the entire script of the movie is it's not much. It's like 3 paragraphs of 4. That's basically it. So Kevin asks like why did you do that? Or like asks tries to understand what the creature even wants, and the creature explains, Kelly didn't do as she was told. She said she wanted her mom and dad, so I took her mouth away. Like what?
Yep.
What? Is
I
that
mean,
your
it's
reasoning?
showing off its power again. Like if it was
But
tired of hearing it like calling for mom and dad apparently, or just dad, because I don't think Kaylee likes mom. I remember that much.
yeah, okay. So I think that's basically the summary of the movie. Like I think we just summarized the entire movie. Like there's nothing else. Like in terms of scenes, that's basically it. Oh yes, there's the last scene of the movie in which we see like out of focus. There's a face in the darkness, and the face tells Kevin to go to sleep. And Kevin asks, "What's your name?"
And the answer Kevin hears is
Big Chungus. And suddenly, everything made sense.
obviously right.
Yeah, it has to be Big Chungus. Like,
Who else? Who else, really?
we see several cartoons on the TV.
It's the cartoon logic.
The cartoon
The
logic.
creature can do anything. It's
Cartoons can
all,
also do anything.
it is shown to be watching cartoons. The creature is rewinding the TV when at a moment where one of the cartoon characters is like performing a disappearing trick, like disappearing as its hands hover above it in front of, and the creature is winding it back and playing it again to learn how to do it or to remember how to do it. And again, who else would be as stupid as Big Chungus to be hurting children?
Well, stupid is one way to put it because, in my opinion, it's just cruelty. And this is a violation of the Carcosa Convention.
Oh yeah,
clearly.
I'm glad you mentioned it. Give me a
And-
moment.
Yes.
I have here with me the articles.
Oh,
We can look at them.
yes, go ahead.
But you can continue. You were saying as I look.
Oh yeah, so for the Stalkers that are more recent and aren't really as fluent in international law, the Carcosa Conventions were a series of treaties that were signed many years ago. By some Dark Lords. Eons ago, yes. And these treaties basically outlined what is and is not acceptable for stalkers and other...
Things that go bump in the night.
Yes. And you might ask, well, if these creatures are creatures of chaos and darkness and evil, then how do they obey? Like, what is there to punish them? If, what laws, why would they obey laws? Well, it's because these Dark Lords, they have rivalries between them. And so they need to put each other in line. And a lot of their thralls, a lot of their, like the stalkers that work for them, they need to put them in check as well. They don't want them just running around doing random things. They need
Who watches the Watchmen? The Watchmen do.
Exactly. And so when when one of the stalkers violates these treaties, typically what they do is they either are tortured or have their powers removed, or there's an entire court for this stuff. And we have identified that this creature, Big Chungus, must be put to court.
He's found guilty of at least 7 different violations of the Carcosa Conventions. And those include and are not limited to harming children inside of their own homes, the use of cartoons as psychological torture.
Yeah, cartoons are sacred. We all know that.
Obviously, failure to identify himself when asked to.
It is very important that a creature of this caliber must identify itself, at least, or even give explanation as to the motivations as why it is doing. Because even evil and chaos, there is still motivation there. There's still you still have a reason.
Even if the reason is no reason.
Yeah, even if the reason is just because I want to.
Could provide some sort of explanation.
Yes. This is just.
Let's not even talk about using Legos as instruments of torture as well, because he had them all spread around all over those rooms.
The amount of times I had to replace my feet because of Legos that I forgot scattered across the floor. It's painful. I would not wish that in my worst victim.
Let alone a child.
Yes.
Regardless, this is again. How long ago?
Okay, so it's really
all right.
hard.
So let's get back on track. Movie.
Okay. So as we mentioned.
Let me. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me just. What were you going to say?
I was going to talk about like cinematography and.
Yes. Okay. Then we're talking about the same thing. Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's focus on the positives for a little while. Right. Mm-hmm. So just before my blood starts boiling again, these are the camera shots, the cinematography. It's the lighting. It all plays extremely well into the atmosphere of the movie. I think it is successful in like it succeeds in doing what it's as set out to do in that regard. Because again, it put us in those shoes of those children. I think that the lack of music is something a strong point. It works too. Am I forgetting something? Is there something you want to say?
Well, it's just the lack of faces. That is a thing that I think is important in the movie. Is that it the fact that you don't see any faces, it kind of creates this sensation which like it could be anybody. Like, these people could be anybody. They're not really characters in the same way that like a regular character. They are characters that have no face. They could be any person. So that's an interesting thing that it does as well. All the voice recordings recorded in the studio.
No boom mics?
No. It was easier to work with the kids like that. And
they have those laws that restrict the time they can be on set.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not fluent in like human laws, so
thankfully we are in
the dark laws, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, that's like it is. The movie does very interesting things with its cinematography, with the camera work, with the sound work as well. Yes.
This would have been a great movie if it didn't run over an hour and a half.
Yes, we need to talk about the pacing of this movie, because we were doing like a summary.
Oh my!
A couple minutes back.
Is it?
We basically we spent like what 10 minutes, less than that, summarizing the plot of the movie. The movie is an hour and a half.
To be fair, you were doing it fast, sure, but again, we could have done it in 15 minutes if we really were stretching it.
Yes, the plot of the movie could have been told in it could have been like the story of the movie could have been made in 10 minutes. You could have made a 10-minute movie with this, and you would get the same amount of information. Like the
I don't want
pacing,
to go see the short though. The short is, as you said, 30 minutes,
it's
and
still a
that
lot.
sounds great. Again,
Sure.
but it might be amazing.
It might be more enjoyable than
I'm
this,
sure.
yes.
I'm sure it will be more enjoyable than this, because after the movie hits, because I remember we were excited about this. You were.
Yeah.
When the movie starts and like the first line of dialogue happens at like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you're like, okay, I'm going to start noting these down because I'm sure they're going to be important. And I'm looking at you like, investigative, like scientific, like this is the man I work with. I enjoy, like, this is what I like about you.
Yeah, I was analyzing everything.
Yeah. When the 1 hour mark hits and we're both looking at the great grandfather clock, it comes out, it cuckoos, and we barely passed the midpoint of the movie. I can't even speak today.
Talking about this movie is hard. The thing about it is that it really follows no structure, and it's just like the movie doesn't know when to continue. If even continuing is like a word that is
Remember the ending of Lord of the Rings Return of the King, the extended cut. And how many times did you think the movie was over?
Oh.
Skinamarink does it. Is it better or worse? Because there are so many fake outs to this movie ending.
I think it's worse because
it's so much worse. Like I mean, I obviously meant in the good bad sense of the word.
Yes, but the thing with the thing there is a an important principle in writing, which is only show things that matter to the movie, that are important to the movie in some way. And I think this movie just forgets about that rule and just shows random things just to make you scared.
There's a lot of padding before the first hour.
Yeah,
there's a lot of insane amount of slow, deliberate shots with absolutely like little to no content that merit analysis. Like we could definitely, I think that we could grab the cartoons and make an analysis of what's happening on the screen to what happens in the film. But that's such a small part.
Yeah.
Of a 100-minute movie.
It's wasted potential. That's what I keep
going. I'm glad. I'm extremely happy that this movie was so low budget and that this guy was able to make a fortune out of it. But please, man, if you must make another feature film, forget about the analog horror. Like,
no,
it does not have enough juice.
Yeah, analog horror. A lot of people think it's easy. It's just record something with a camera, write some creepy text or whatever. But it's not that simple. In my opinion, I think analog horror is one of the hardest genres of horror to make because you need to still tell a story. Like, you still need content. You still need something that the viewer will grab onto.
Most of them go absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, and you need to tell that story with as little stuff as possible. That's kind of the whole idea of analog horror. Is like it's a minimalistic kind of way of storytelling, and that's the point. It's like limited, like bad audio, bad video, or like retro, like kind of like a retro. Retro is not a word that we really use here.
Retro is but it's even like if we did, it would be referring to an even older period, I think.
Yeah, retro to us is like 20s or
1820s, he means.
The 18, yeah, like somewhere around there.
The oldies.
Like, yeah, it's the limitations of technology. That's basically the point. It's with limitations of technology, so you use radio signals, video signals, and you kind of, with just that, you tell a story. And it's supposed to be minimalistic because, of course, anything is radio signals and video signals. Like any movie is that, but except the ones that are, earlier and not digital. But the point is, it is limited to that technology, and it's minimalistic, and it's really hard to tell a story in a minimalistic way so that it keeps the same, so it entertains, and it is insightful, and the viewer wants to learn more and is actually being rewarded for the things that they're watching. Analog horror, a lot of it is, as you were saying, it leads nowhere because it's setting up something, but it's just set up.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that Kyle didn't know what he was doing or where he was going, but if he did, he redacted a lot of the information, like too much information.
Yeah, if he knew where he was going, he just did not deliver.
Again, like my biggest criticism and what I want people to take away from this, aside from we'll get to Big Chungus, is that it's just it drags. It really drags.
The pacing is so freaking slow.
I felt like you could have axed a big chunk, no pun intended, out of the first half of the movie. And even if you still give me that shitty ending, I would still be able to praise it more than what I watched, because after 1 hour and 40 minutes, I felt nothing.
I felt more empty than I usually feel.
Exactly.
So, and that's saying a lot.
I felt like time was taken away from me. It's a feeling that I haven't had in Satan knows how long.
About what I was saying of the setups. And like a lot of analog horror is just a setup. It's just basically a lot of it is premises or setups to a horror story, but without the actual story, just the setup. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't make it an hour and a half of that. Like you can write just like a those like 2-sentence horror stories. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with being like minimalistic and like as little information as possible, but just like condensed story in like 2 sentences. That's fine, and I appreciate that in some ways, because sometimes you don't have time, or I mean, in our case, it's fine. But like I know that humans, mortals, they sometimes don't have time because they have to think about their job or whatever. So sometimes it's nice to kind of just read a 2-sentence and then that's an experience. The thing is, yeah, when you start to tell a story, when you start to make a feature-length movie or whatever, you need more than just a setup. You need like to continue that. You need to resolve the things. And what this movie does is it once again does the setup, but it never resolves. There's no payoff. The little jump scares that it has they're not good payoffs to anything. They don't answer
honestly
questions.
I can't even say that they're breaking, like one of them isn't even breaking tension.
Oh, let's mention about the infinite tension that never is it's never, you never feel the break.
No, again,
it's painful. It's painful.
Let me wait. I'm talking about specifically about the one where Kaylee walks into the room alone and is staring at the doll. The doll just floating in the air.
Yeah, there's a jump scare there, but it's a fake out.
Was that scene tense to you? Did you feel tense? in that
Uh,
scene?
hmm,
Did you jump out of the chair? Is what I'm asking.
no, not really. I it wasn't okay, and I think this is a good point here. Tension, like you need, for something to feel scary, for something to feel
Yeah, there needs
sad
to be
or whatever, contrast.
tension, a cycle of tension and release.
Yes, and you
And
need contrast
there was an exactly contrast. You're saying it.
because, like, essentially, when you really want to scare your audience, what you really need to do is you need to, first of all, you need a setup. You need like the character to be alone or whatever. Like you need a situation in which, like,
The target is vulnerable.
yes, and there's like a sense of something could happen, and then
Anything could happen.
yes, and then the tension starts building, and building
The
slowly.
music rises and the
Yes.
shot gets faster,
Mm-hmm.
or it starts zooming in,
Yes.
or
Yes.
we start
Yes.
hearing noises.
Mm-hmm. And then you have a suddenly you have a loss of sensors. So basically you have a silence, and then you have the bang.
The calm
So
before the storm.
yeah, so you have the build up, then you have silence, and then you have loud noise. And that's the reason why you have that silence there is so you really feel that bang,
You're
because there's,
holding your breath,
yes, there's
and
nothing.
you're tightening your butt, and all
Yes.
your muscles are tense, and you just want it to last forever. I'm sorry, what?
I think we're I think you're taking this a bit
Sorry, so yeah, because
in a
I
different
was
direction.
getting lost.
But
Yes,
no,
yes,
no,
my
but
bad.
that's a good analogy though. Like you need the climax. You have the
Yes,
tension, and then you need the release, the climax.
nothing lasts forever.
And these are the important components. So so the setup, the build up, the silence, and the release. And in this movie, you have like tension, like there's nothing else. There's no release. There's no suspense.
It's just
There's no
tension.
setup. It's just tension. And the
What?
tension,
All tension?
yes, and the tension doesn't build up. If you notice, like with the
It's true
movie,
because there's no music.
exactly.
The only time you know, because the only time you know that there will be an escalation to the tension or build up is when one of the kids is called. When one of the kids is named and the voice, you know the voice wants something, and that's when the kids are put into a vulnerable state because they're split off from each other, they're alone in a house they don't know or that they used to know, with something that is not their parents, that is posing as their parents. And again, in paper, all of this should be great, but the execution,
Yeah, it's the execution, really. Yeah.
damn it.
And not of the cinematography, the execution of the writing, of the
Oh,
script writing
wait.
of this movie. Yeah.
But I want to say that there is, man. Oh, all right. I just want to say something about the script. Good job, Kyle. First of all, because there is a point where you made my heart beat again. When those kids are alone in that house and in that room, the only thing that you needed to establish that they have a strong relationship was use two sentences, which was this, like, I love you and I love you too. Sorry. But in the context of the scene, I could feel that this was a strong relationship. And by the end of it, when Big Chungus hurts these kids, I am beyond seething. Right?
No,
I
it's
am
yeah.
I burnt my hair that day. Spontaneous combustion.
Oh
My head
yeah.
was on fire.
I had to.
It took me a long time to replace all of this.
Yeah, you almost
Uh,
caught fire to the whole house. Actually, I had
Again,
to.
I apologize, but I was
No, I understand. Like, if yeah.
when I see the Carcosa Convention being blatantly disrespected, disregarded with glee for millions to watch.
No.
What are we to you? A joke?
Yeah, and that's essentially like the emotion that we expect from a horror movie, the emotion that is that that we will feel when it is over, when we've watched it, usually is either, well, dread, that sweet
Right?
sweet dread, or just like a satisfaction of like, that was a good movie. Like it feels like you had answers to your
Even
questions.
the happy endings have answers, you know, like it's
Yes.
satisfactory to some people. No, not for us, obviously, that's not what floats our goats. But
Yes, you have the tragic ending, which is obviously we love those when like the heroes die and the villains,
here is the quintessential analog horror ending,
which is a
which
non-ending.
is the non-ending, the we aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, and at the end, I felt like the guy was just putting random shots to try and like get him out of the
Oh no,
way.
like they
Yeah.
spent they like I understand the symbolism of the images that Big Chungus has been torturing this child for so long that they can't remember who they are, and all the memories of the people that he knew are fading. But it's all eh.
Yeah, it's not satisfying. That's it. Like it makes you, when the movie is over, you feel anger, and you feel just, you don't even feel angry. You just feel nothing. It
Yeah,
feels
it was like
dull. It feels, yeah.
can't even say I'm glad it's over. It's more like I can't believe I just watched this.
Yeah, it's the opposite of satisfaction. It's
Because there were so many
dissatisfaction
times the movie could have ended and they would have felt satisfactory to a degree. But
to a
when the
degree.
movie actually ends and the creature does not admit it's Big Chungus,
Yeah, because
like
we were saying it's Big Chungus, but
what was this even?
this
What
is
was this
never
even for?
revealed. Yeah, it's never revealed what the name of the creature
Yeah,
is. Never revealed
this
what
is
it
all
is.
our amazing guesswork. They were
Yeah, this is our
veritable
theory, and
Sherlock and Watson here.
but honestly, I like our theory. Our theory is better than what we got in the movie. There was another thing. Wait, what was it? No, I forgot. Uh, Man, there's
What?
so much to talk about this movie. So much we could say. What was it?
Grabbing the whiteboard. I'm grabbing the blackboard.
The blackboard. Okay, I was like, the whiteboard. We don't have a whiteboard. Man. It was. It was. It was just the theory. Like we could try to say that this is like a analogy of childhood abuse or traumas from childhood, and like you like that kind of like that emptiness, or that fear of loneliness.
Of abandonment.
Yeah, we could go ahead
Even
and
the
look into that.
recurring nightmare. I can even give you that.
Yes, like
But we are
like
not stupid, right?
yes.
We
Mhm.
understand was what the attempt was.
Yeah,
Our
like it
argument is that it failed miserably.
exactly. Like you need to do a lot of the work for yourself that this movie should have been doing when getting to those points of that, the recurring nightmares and trauma and all that. And even the fact that you can't understand a lot of it from the perspective of a child that makes some sense. But it's just the execution is just so poor in that regard. It could have been done in so much better. That's it. It's just the lost potential. It's the thing that really, really annoys me.
Even half the time, you would probably be stretching. If the movie was 45 minutes long, you would probably still be stretching it.
Yeah.
We
Indeed.
should definitely go watch that short. No, and see if it works. Because it might honestly be better.
Well, I don't know. Now I'm skeptical. Now I'm skeptical of it because this is the only thing that I've watched from this guy, and now I'm skeptical.
Yeah, well, again, can only speak for what I've heard, and the rumor mill had it that the movie was great,
and it wasn't.
That's just your opinion, man.
Yeah, and your opinion is trash.
So, I'm rating this movie
2 bigs out of 10 chunguses.
Right, that's it. The candles are out, the circles have been raised, and we will let Silencer in again. The Grymm Mansion will be closing its doors for the night. Have a great one.